broadcasting live from an undisclosed location. This is the TCMMA podcast with your host, Chris Cross.
Whoa!
Dana White privilege.
Let's go, baby! Let's go! Let's go! Let's go! Let's go, baby!
Dana White privilege. Privilege.
What's happening? This is your boy Chris Cross. This is the TCMMA podcast. And finally, we know what the UFC fighters made at UFC 300. We're going to get into all that. Max Holloway's UFC ranking, that's updated. And of course, the official UFC ranking. So we got a lot to cover today on the show. So let's get into the topics. Or talk about what we're going to talk about, if you will. Max Holloway lands at number 9 in the latest UFC rankings. That's got to be pound for pound, right? Maybe, maybe not. UFC fan apologizes for provoking Arman Tsarukyan at UFC 300. Have you heard about this? But says also he won't file a lawsuit after punch. Dana White expects the UFC to be sued. So we got to talk about that. That's a big one. Conor McGregor versus Michael Chandler. Preliminary odds are out, and you may be surprised. UFC 300 payouts revealed, including 4 fighters who smashed the $2 million mark. 4 fighters over $2 million. So when they say these fighters don't get paid, I beg to differ. Not all of them do, but the big ones definitely come out on top. Also, Aljamain Sterling reacts to being the only UFC 300 winner to not get an octagon interview. It definitely sucked, said Sterling. Ian Garry calls for UFC 303 co-main event versus, I won't say the word, Colby Covington. Says I'll retire him for good. So these are the main issues going down right now in the UFC. But we still want to not get too far away from UFC 300. So let's just begin with Arman Tsarukyan. Right? Arman Tsarukyan's walk into the octagon. Somehow I missed this the other night. But he's walking out, to fight Charles Oliveira. And fans are reaching over trying to grab him. Tsarukyan saying, the guy, he wanted to punch me. And I wanted to punch him back. That's it. So guys, no one show me F you. It doesn't matter who you are. I'm going to punch you in the face. You can show me F from like 200 meters. I'm not going to punch you. But when you're close to me, it's like automatic. I'm from Russia. Don't do that, please. Or I'm going to jail in the United States. So Arman Tsarukyan speaking out and basically saying he can't help himself. He's a fighter. If you get in his face and say F you, he's going to have to throw a punch. And that's what happened. He threw a punch before his actual real punches against Charles Oliveira. And still went out there and beat Charles Oliveira. So he got a little warm-up on the way to the octagon. Now, will the fan sue? Right now, the fan is saying no, and he actually apologized for provoking Arman Tsarukyan. But even if he went to court, he probably would win a suit just because, these are fighters. They can't be reacting that way. That's why you got all these security dudes, which I don't like either. But at least on the walk to the octagon, it makes sense. I don't like the security dudes after the fight who were trying to settle down Max Holloway or some fighter who got a big KO. Then these officials want to swarm the octagon, pull him off the fence, tell him to calm down. It's like, dude, they tried this in football. It didn't work. People want to see the fighter climb up on top of the octagon fence. They want to see him pump his fist. Now, I get it. You don't want a similar situation between McGregor and Khabib, right? You don't want that. Where there's this big fight outside of the actual fight that leads into the stands and all that. So you can't have that. So I understand on some level, but let's not make this the no fun league and stop guys from being excited when they win. That's not going to be a good look for the UFC. Right now, it's not a big deal because I don't think many people are paying attention to all that because you're happy with the KO and all this. But when these guys get worse and they literally stop the fighters from any type of celebration, we're going to have a problem. UFC 300 payouts reveal 4 fighters who smashed the $2 million mark. Just smashed it. They were Alex Pereira, well-deserved. Max Holloway, well-deserved. Right? He made 2.7 mil. Pereira, almost 2.9 mil. Justin Gaethje, even in the loss, 2.3 mil. Just to show, is that right? Zhang Weili won 2.3 mil. And then it drops off quickly, but you got Charles Oliveira, 779,000. Jamal Hill, 540,000. And these are all estimates. These are guys that are putting together estimates and releasing about what they're going to make. It doesn't mean that it's exact, right? It doesn't mean that it's exactly right. But this is, about what these fighters are going to make. And for 4 fighters, it'd be over $2 million. This isn't like for the season. This is for one fight. $2 million. You fight 3 times a year, you're liable to make $6 million. So, some of these football players get paid $20 million for 16 games. What is that? Like a little over, what is that, $1.25 million per game roughly? So these fighters are getting paid well. And then when you win, there's all types of incentives, which I love about the UFC. Football, they have built-in incentives too. You get over these receiving yards, or you get this many catches or touches, or you rush for this many yards, or you make this many completions, or you have this many tackles or sacks, or they have all these incentives built in, and I like that. But the UFC is different. It's literally like, hey, if you win, you double your money, and if you don't, you get your show money. So there's a huge incentive to win. It's real simple. And these fighters are making a lot of money. And you get all the way to the bottom. Cody Brundage, for 6 minutes of action, he walked away with like $64,000. That's nearly $10,000 a minute. So, let me know what other sports pay $10,000 a minute to the worst player, at least on this card. No offense to Cody Brundage, just trying to make a simple comparison. Let me know what other sport pays $10,000 per minute to the worst player. Okay? That's a lot of money. A lot of money. There's 60 minutes in an hour. Some of these games, football games, take 3 hours. You're looking at 180 minutes. Let's do the math. These guys are getting paid well even at the bottom. Now, if Cody Brundage would have won, he'd probably got 120 grand, would have doubled his money. Then he probably would have got a $300,000 bonus. He could have walked away with $420,000 if everything went great for him that night. Of course, you got a big task against Bo Nickel, but still, you understand what I'm saying. Now, to the big news today, the UFC rankings have been updated, and Max Holloway is at number 9. Right? But not number 9 in a good way. Not number 9 pound for pound. Number 9 in the lightweight rankings. Number 9 in the lightweight rankings.
Chaos.
I mean, it's just crazy. It's absolutely crazy. Remember what he did to one of the best fighters in the division.
He drops Gaethje with 1 second left. Max Holloway finishes Gaethje with 1 second left, bro.
Yeah, so how are you number 9?
Boo! Woo!
How do you land at number 9? Any other fighter who beats a top contender moves up to that spot or maybe one spot lower. This goes to show you that they're basically saying Max Holloway's win was luck. Luck. This is a number 2 contender in the featherweight beating a number 2 contender in the lightweight. He should be ranked number 2 or 3 right now. Not even close. You mean to tell me when Hamza was number 3 in the welterweight division, if he goes up and smashes Robert Whittaker right away, he's not going to be number 2 or 3 in the division? Of course he would. It's not even Hamza. I'm just using him as an example. Any fighter would jump to the top. Now, if you want to put Holloway at 4 or 5, maybe there's a little debate. Okay. But number 9? And I get it. Who's above him? Fiziev, Chandler, Dariush, Gamrot, Poirier. But Gaethje beat Poirier. KO'd him. Max Holloway KO'd Gaethje. So what is going on here? This really bothers me, man. Because up until this point, I love how the UFC does its rankings. If you're number 10 and you beat number 2, well, now you're number 2 or number 3. It's not like football. college football where you're like 15 and beat number 3 and you move up to like 10, right? That's not, I don't like all that. That's what the UFC is doing here with Max Holloway. Yuri Prochazka moves up 1 spot to number 1, so he's in line for a title shot. Ankalaev moved up 1 spot from 3 to 2, and Jamal Hill fell from 1 to 3. That's what's going on in the light heavyweight division. Then you got Jan Gionin falling from 1 to 2, so that opens the door for Tatiana Suarez to move up in that division. In the bantamweight division, let me see what they did with Kayla Harrison here. Yeah, Kayla Harrison, okay? She wasn't ranked either. She went in and beat Holly Holm at like number 4, 3 or 4, and she moves up to 4. So why didn't Max Holloway do the same? I mean, it's absolutely crazy. Why is Max Holloway any different? Totally disrespected in this situation. Totally disrespected. Pound for pound, Islam still 1, John Jones 2, Leon Edwards 3, then Pereira, Topuria, Sean O'Malley. Oh, and Max Holloway's 8. How? All right. Oh my God, this is going to make me crazy because I didn't even realize this till right now. How is Max Holloway number 8 pound for pound, but number 9 in the lightweight division? Come on, man. Come on, man. And I'm sure if they talk to Max Holloway, he's humble. He'll probably downplay it, but I wish he would come out and just be pissed. Like, what's going on here? All these other fighters get to leap right to the top, and you're telling me I'm ranked lower in a division than I am pound for pound? Pereira's number 4. Is he ranked any lower than 4 in any division? No. I mean, other than Volkanovski, Max Holloway is the highest rated pound for pound fighter. Other than Volkanovski, that's not a current champion. Right? The top 6 guys are all champions. Then you got Volk, number 1, that's not a champion. Number 2, that's not a champion, Max Holloway. So it's just crazy. It's crazy. Especially when you consider Volkanovski got to go and fight for the lightweight title twice. Free passage. Max Holloway's getting robbed here. This is making me crazy. It's absolute robbery in terms of the rankings. It's just crazy, man. Somebody's got to do something about it. All right, moving on, Chris Cross. Move it along. Conor McGregor, Michael Chandler. The odds are out. If you didn't see this the other night, UFC 303, it's going down. It is official. McGregor is back. And fact is, he's the favorite here. They're both really favorites. When you look at it, it's, negative 122 to negative 104. So it's kind of like a pick'em. It's a toss-up. But McGregor's still expected to beat Chandler. This is how much respect this guy gets, even when he hasn't fought in 2 years or whatever it is. And he only has 2 fights since 2016. He's still favored to win. So when I was holding on to him on the do list forever, and you guys were getting on me, people putting money down are showing that, hey, we still think McGregor's going to win. And money speaks louder than anything. It just does. It always has. It always will. And if you didn't see the prediction, we expect Conor McGregor to win this thing. But, we're kind of biased here because we expect McGregor to beat everybody. We expected him to beat Khabib. He's like Hamza to me. If he fights, I expect him to win. If he ever had to fight Hamza, I don't know what I would do. And Hamza likely wins that fight just because he's going to be the bigger guy. Like, McGregor's going to struggle. He's not going to struggle, hopefully. If he struggles against Chandler at 170, then he's virtually, not totally, but virtually done because Chandler's not even a true welterweight. I don't see McGregor going back down to lightweight. He's too light there. If he goes up to welterweight, he's going to have to prove that he can fight some of these big guys. He's going to have to go in there and really put it all on Michael Chandler. Like, this is a big fight for him, especially when he's getting the division that he wants. And speaking of UFC 303, you also got Ian Garry calling out Colby Covington to fight in the co-main event. And I already told you Colby's not doing it, but Ian Garry's doing the right thing. He's really pushing this thing, right? He's really going at it. He's going right at Colby Covington, stealing the playbook right from Colby, and it's going to force Colby to respond. Colby's kind of been quiet right now, and that lets me know and should let you know that Colby does not want to fight him, right? Because Colby has no problem talking. Unless he doesn't want that fight, then he just doesn't respond, right? He's going to respond to whoever he wants to fight. It's pretty clear the way it's been going. Ian Garry says, I'll retire him for good. And I respect Ian Garry, man, because some of these guys aren't willing to do this. They'll talk a little trash, but Ian Garry is really trying to sell this thing. But I don't know that Colby's going to be ready in June. He should be. It'll have been 6 months. I forget what the injury actually was, so maybe it's too much for him to get back that quick. But Ian Garry's really calling for it. And Ian Garry's a smart dude. He's saying, hey, let's fight in the co-main event of McGregor-Poirier because there's going to be a lot of eyeballs. Right? And it's like a poker move. He's like saying, Colby, you should want this fight. A lot of eyeballs. You beat me in the co-main event, then you might get another title shot. But I think Colby really knows, like, if you fight down or you even, 4 versus 5 or something, you win that, you're not getting a title shot. So Colby's going to want to fight one of the top contenders. When he feels like he's ready to go, he's going to start calling on Usman for a rematch. He's going to call on some of these other guys, Bilal or whoever that's up there, that he feels like he has a good chance against and that he knows is a bridge to a title fight. And if you lose, you probably don't lose your ranking too much. A lot of these fighters that lose title fights, and then especially if you then fight a top contender, you get that lucky and you lose that, you're going to have to fight down. Colby has avoided this at all costs unless it's a situation that's going to get him a title fight, like beating Tyron Woodley and beating others, Masvidal or whoever, that are beneath him, below him, that he's pretty sure he's going to beat, that he can really control against the fence and win that way. He's not going to fight a guy that he's not going to do what Justin Gaethje did against Max Holloway. That's just not Colby. Unless Colby gets to a point where he realizes, okay, my title run is done. Now it's time to get a bunch of fights in and make some money. So you may see that eventually from Colby. But I don't think Colby's done. I don't think he's done fighting for titles. Doesn't mean he's going to get another title fight. But I just don't see Colby as done. Not personally looking at him. I'm just saying in Colby's mind, he's not done. He still wants to fight for the title. So he's not just going to sit back and take a fight against a lower contender. He's going to take a fight and wait. Colby will wait a year, man. He's shown you he can do it. He'll wait a year because the UFC wants him to fight, needs him to fight. He's one of the higher ranked guys. He's fought against high caliber opponents or for the title for the last 5 or 6 years. The UFC is going to call him in the fight, but he's going to be like, I need to fight a top contender. And then if I don't beat them, then I'll fight who you want me to fight. And then maybe my run is over in terms of title contention, so now I'll fight someone that's below me. But he's not going to do that willingly, and he's not going to do it 6 months later, especially after the injury. This man will wait. Colby may not fight all of 2024 waiting for a contender fight. And if it works, everyone's gotten on Colby for the way he's handled this for years now. But it works because the guy's had 3 title fights. He hasn't won one, but he's in 3 title fights. So his plan works, whether we like it or not. I don't like it. I want to see Colby fight every 5 months. But fighting every 5 months may lead him to never get a title fight. And the man wants to win a title, so you got to respect it on that level. Right? And he didn't look good against Leon Edwards, so he's going to be even more hungry going forward. So look for Colby to get a top contender fight. It's going to happen. Trust me when I tell you, if he fights Ian Garry, I'll be surprised unless the UFC says, listen, you beat Ian Garry, we're going to give you a title shot. You might have to wait your turn a little bit, but you beat Ian Garry, you get a title fight. But I still don't know that he fights Ian Garry because he's a wild card. This guy could be a future champ. This isn't the guy you want to fight right now. If anything, you want to get the title before Ian Garry does Because if Ian Garry gets it with his youth, you're not winning the title, Colby, right? So he's not dumb. Colby's a very smart guy. He knows exactly what he's doing. And that's how this thing is going to play out. But listen, that's all we got for you today. We just wanted to get in here and clear some things up. Oh, you know what? Let's pull up the dude list real quick. Let's pull up the dude list because we did update the dude list. Should have brought this to you earlier. And the main thing is that Alex Pereira stays at 4. But Max Holloway up to number 9. Right? And that's why I'm getting upset. Why is he number 9 in the lightweight division? Max Holloway is going to stay in this top 10 until he loses again. This man did something that was unfathomable going into the fight. And he's ranked number 9 in the lightweight division. It just doesn't make any sense. But we got him 9 on the do list. You got Hamza, 1. Then John Jones, Makhachev, Pereira, O'Malley, Edwards, Rachmanov. Adesanya's still up there. Big wild card still. Holloway at 9. Oh, we got Adesanya twice, so there's a clear mistake here. So I'm going to have to correct that. We must have messed up and put someone else there when we didn't mean to. So we'll correct that. Then you got Yuri, Topuria, Jamal Hill fell several spots. Colby Covington still at 14. Bo Nickel didn't move up because he wasn't, he got the finish, but should have beat Brundage quicker, right? Then you got Sean Strickland who's fighting. Then Aljamain Sterling, Aliskerov, Dvalishvili, and Charles Oliveira took a major tumble in the rankings. And that's the way this thing sits right now. That's the way it sits right now. The do list will always be updated after every pay-per-view event. These are my favorite fighters and guys I expect to win when others they fight are ranked below them. And it's been proven that this works. We've lost some because you can't win them all. But everybody was saying Jamal Hill's going to win, right? Pereira was 4. Jamal Hill was 8. I have no choice based on the do list but to go with Pereira. If it's like a 5 versus 6, maybe there's some room there. But if it's a 4 versus 8, I got to go with Pereira, and he paid off. So we stick with the do list. Make no mistake about it. But listen, we appreciate y'all. Much love. Keep tuning in. Find us everywhere: Spotify, Apple, YouTube, etc. For now, it's your boy Chris Cross. Have a great day and God bless. As always, peace.